Jagrativ. Jai Masters. There are some really very simple basics to life. So, for example, if you love somebody, you don't want them to suffer. You don't need to learn that. They're just natural. The trouble is, people don't know how not to suffer. And most of the time, there's nothing you can do about it. Because most of the time, we make ourselves suffer. It's like somebody having a nightmare that you can't wake up. You want to help them, but you're not in there. They're in a world of their own, and they've created a world that's nightmarish. And all they have to do is wake up and stop doing it, and it won't be like that anymore. But when you're lost in that world, it doesn't seem that way. It is the same thing out here in the conscious world. I'm going to challenge you. The vast majority of all human suffering is self-generated, self-created. Now, if you're a halfway awake human being, you challenge that statement. You sit there and say, what in the world is he talking about? It's because we don't go deep enough. What is happening with almost all suffering, here's the foundation of human existence. We are inside. Everybody is inside. They're not outside, they're inside. You're inside. You know that. Hi. You're in there. You don't need to learn it. You're in there. And you're okay in there. We can talk about why. We can do all kinds of stuff, but you're not okay in there. It's problematic in there. It's insecure. It's jealous. It's scared. It's needy. There's all that stuff. Okay? Like, do you have any needs? Just to break through the barrier of resistance. Do you have any needs? Most people, yeah. You got a list? Okay, you've just listed why you're not okay. If you need something, then you're not okay. Isn't that a definition of need? Something's not okay, so it needs something to be okay. That's what a need is. Don't make needs holy. Needs are like going to the doctor and explaining to the doctor why you're not feeling well. I need somebody. I feel so lonely. Oh, okay, you're not well. You're not doing well. You need somebody. I need respect. R-A-S-P-E-C-T. Right? Well, why would you need that? You can't eat it. You can't take it to the back. What are you going to do with it? I just need it. I need it. I'm not okay in here. And there are things that I need to bring in here to make me be better. Fair enough? All right? So your starting position is I'm in here and I'm not okay in here. All right, very good. We can deal with that. We can talk about that. But at least it's honest. That is not suffering. That is just a state of I'm not doing well in here. What causes suffering in the world, in your personal life, is as follows. Because I'm not okay, I have decided how things need to be for me to be okay. That's it. Go home. You're done. What do you mean? That's the cause of all suffering. That's the cause of suffering. I'm not saying if you break your arm, it's painful. That's not suffering. Deciding how you think you need things to be in order for you to be okay in there, and then complaining about how they are, fighting with everybody to try to make them be that way, worrying when you wake up in the morning that it won't be the way you want or it will be the way you don't want, going through the whole day trying to protect yourself from what? From it not being the way I need it to be okay. Most of you are not going through the whole day protecting yourself from a car hitting you. Basically, you're not spending your day protecting yourself from what our ancestor cave people needed to protect themselves from. Lions aren't jumping on you. All kinds of things aren't going on. But you do feel constantly that you must defend yourself, that you must protect yourself, that you must be ready to control the environment around you because something terrible is going to happen. You worry a lot. That's what suffering is, this constant inward state of, oh my God, something's going to go wrong or I won't get what I need. Either something's going to happen that's going to make me worse or something won't happen that will make me better. and I'm really worried about this, really anxious about this, I'm really neurotic about this. I can't sleep, I can't feel comfortable, I can't digest my food, I'm very tense, my shoulders are tense, my head is tense, I have headaches, I have stomach aches, I have ulcers. I am suffering to one degree or another. The cause of that suffering is very simple. The cause of the suffering is not because you're not doing okay inside. We can work with that. Okay, we'll look at that. We'll deal with that. It is because you decided how everyone and everything needs to be outside in order for you to be okay inside. That just created this layer. My mouth goes dry to talk about it. You created a layer of confusion that has absolutely nothing to do with why you're not okay inside. All right? It's okay that you're not okay inside. I swear we can talk about that. We can work with that. You're capable of being okay inside. Every single human being is capable of being okay inside. And there's a total paradigm shift. Now my starting position is, I feel great. It's fun. I told you what being okay is like. You wake up in the morning, you giggle. I'm back. What's going to happen today? I don't know, but it'll be fun. I live on a planet where lots of things are happening. How about you? I can't even think of a single moment in my whole life where there wasn't something going on in front of me. How about you? There's something going on all the time. It's a happening place. Isn't that fun? You're supposed to say yes. And they're supposed to look at me with this shocking look. No. It might not be the way I want. I mean, it's not enough that something's going on. It has to be what I want. And it can't be what I don't want. That is the cause of suffering. If you have that going on inside your head, that there is a way that the moment in front of me needs to be, or I'm going to freak out if it's not that way. I'm going to get scared. I'm going to get insecure. I'm going to get jealous. I'm going to be afraid because things are not the way I want them to be. Then you are suffering. That is the definition of suffering. That there is a way you need things to be, and they aren't that way, so you get all weird inside. So spirituality and real life begin when you wake up and you start defining the problem properly. The problem is not that people, places, and things, and weather, and circumstances aren't the way you want them to be. That's not the problem. The problem is that you have a way you want them to be. Instead of honoring, respecting, appreciating, feeling gratitude that you get to experience the reality of life that is unfolding in front of you. It is a fascinating place, isn't it? There's all kinds of things going on. You're going to have many, many experiences every moment of your life. Say thank you. But that's not what we do. What we do is say, I don't want to have many, many experiences throughout my life. I want to have the experiences I decided I want to have, and I want to have them when I want to have them, with who I want to have them, in the way I want to have them, and I'm very specific, even down to what the temperature needs to be outside when I'm being proposed to. It shouldn't be too humid or hot because I might sneeze. In other words, I got this thing down, that this is what needs to be going on for me to be okay. That's a layer that you built inside yourself, and it is the cause of suffering. It's just that simple. So you have to decide at some point in your life, am I going to commit my life to that veil, that psyche, that thing I built that says things need to be a certain way for me to be okay, and then I'll commit myself to that, use it like God. It's like it's the beginning and end of my life, this thing I made up inside of me. You did make it up, didn't you? You make it up as you go, don't you? You just, I like him. Why'd you say that? I don't know. I just said it. I don't like him anymore. He wears bow ties. Why did you decide you don't like bow ties? Why did you decide you do like bow ties? That's a real avant-garde type guy who doesn't care what people think about him. Look, he wears polka dot and bow ties. Who decides how you think? Who decides whether you like things or not? Who decides whether you want things to be a certain way? You do, don't you? You just make it up. You make it up as you go along. Have you ever changed your mind about what you want? It just proves there's absolutely no solidity to this. Just make up all these things in your head as you go about how everything needs to be for you to be okay. There's nothing more important than you can contemplate than how stupid it is to do that. To just make up how you want it to be and make up how you don't want it to be and then get upset when it's not that way. You do, don't you? All right. Nobody has ever called anybody to task for doing that. Well, Buddha did. He said the cause of all suffering is doing that. He did, didn't he? What did Buddha say the cause of all suffering was? Desire. Having a way you want it to be. That's what a desire is. Having a way you want it to be. That's what we're talking about. So when you make up this thing in your head that says, I'm not okay, this is how it needs to be for me to be okay, you're dead. And since that's what everybody is doing, is making up in their head, it doesn't matter if they're Russian or Chinese or Afghan or anything, go to any part of the world, they're all doing the same thing. They're just making up how they want it to be because they think it'll make them be okay. And then they're suffering. Well, why do you say then they're suffering? Because nobody gets it the way they want. Nobody has ever gotten it the way they want. And nobody avoids what they don't want. And the very act of wanting it makes you suffer. Oh my God, I don't want her to like him, I want her to like me. Okay, you're dead. I want to go to Europe. I want to spend a couple of years touring Europe before I go to work, but I don't have any money. You're dead. I don't want to be anywhere where there are any snakes. You're dead. I don't ever want anyone to talk not nicely to me. Oh, now we're going to get down to what I want to talk about. I want to get the general. We're going to be very specific today. I just want you to own this. It's like an AA meeting. Yeah, my name's so-and-so, I'm an alcoholic. You have to admit it. Yes, I have made up how I want everything to be, and I get real upset when it's not that way. How upset do you get when you can't get what you want? How upset do you get when you have to get what you don't want? It does cause suffering, doesn't it? Can you really suffer just by not getting what you want? I know you can suffer if your arm breaks. I know you can suffer if something's wrong physically. Can you suffer by not getting what you want? Have you ever suffered because you didn't get what you want? Thank you. You all are too stunned with the talk to shake your heads, yes. Oh, how does he know? I know, believe me, I know. I don't have to be psychic. I can say it to anybody at any time, and it's true. You have suffered by not getting what you want. That's just silly. You made up what you wanted, and then you suffered because it didn't happen. Can you laugh at that, please? Have you ever suffered because you got what you didn't want? Have you ever suffered because something happened that you really didn't want to happen? You had made up that I don't want anything but this, I'll be okay. This I cannot handle. I don't want this to happen. And then what happens when it happens? You suffer. So you have to decide, is it the event not happening or happening that caused you to suffer? Or is it you deciding how it needs to be that caused you to suffer? You ever hear the expression, it takes two to tango? It takes two to tango in the suffering world. The very thing that makes me suffer turns her on. Well, wait a minute. It's either a suffering event or it's not. There's no such thing. I want to go on a picnic. I got a date and I'm going to go camping and I've waited so long for this. It better not rain. I'm a farmer. There's a drought. This is the last day they can possibly, and we live in the same place. All right? So what you catch on is you got a big decision to make. And this is the big decision of your life. More important than your career, more important than who you marry, more important than your anything. Am I going to devote my life to trying to make the outside world be the way I made up and suffer when it's not and get a little bit happy when it is? Therefore, I'm conditional. Or am I going to devote my life to learning not to make up how I need things to be okay? So that I can wake up in the morning and say, this is going to be fun. What, life? I don't have a way. Can we say that? If I ever did a retreat with you, okay, I know you're shocked. I would make you say that. I don't have a way I want things to be. You don't? No. I don't. Wouldn't that be fun to have to say that? I don't have a way I want things to be. I'm just glad there are things. I'm glad I'm on a planet where things are happening. If I was on Mars, I wouldn't want to be there very long. It'd be fun to say, I was the first person on Mars. That's the end of your fun. Mars is not fun. There's nothing happening. It's the same all the time, every day, every place you go. Maybe I'll go over there. Oh, there's red dirt. Maybe I'll go over there. Oh, there's red dirt. There's nothing anywhere. That's not true where you live, is it? Every single millisecond, there's colors and shapes. It's like a museum. There's things going on. That's happening your whole life. Why not be happy with that? Why not enjoy the experiences of life that are unfolding in front of you, that are presenting themselves to you without any preference or conditioning? Just unconditionally say, I have come down here to visit the planet Earth. It has been here for 5 billion years in a universe that has been here for 13.8 billion years. I'm going to be here for 20 or 50 or 100. What's the difference? And I'm just visiting this place that got made. I'm glad to see it. I'm happy. It's enjoyable. It's challenging. There are things that happen that are easy for me. There are things that happen that are really hard for me. That's like a sport. There are teams I play that I'm much better than. I just beat them to pieces. It's so easy. And there are teams I play that are better than me. It's really hard, and it brings the best out of me, and I have to struggle and pull things. Well, what's wrong with that? So life is exactly the same. It's a sport. In the scriptures, it calls it God's lila. And lila is translated out of Sanskrit into sport. What a funny word to be translated into sport. It's an interactive sport that here the universe is unfolding in front of you, and you're here. Believe me, you won't stay long if you don't like it. First of all, if you don't like what's happening, don't worry, because it won't be happening in a moment. Will it? It just keeps changing. Everything keeps changing. It's changed your whole life. And don't worry in the long run, because you won't be here very long anyways. I don't understand why they're suffering. There is suffering for no reason. That's why Buddha said, the highest state is compassion. But people don't understand what compassion is. Compassion is what we just touched. If you look out through your eyes and you see people suffering, that's bad enough. I mean, that's painful. But to understand they are doing it to themselves, and there is no reason for it. They don't have to suffer, not that way. Yes, there's physical things, but this psychological suffering that is going on inside is self-inflicted. Therefore, it doesn't need to happen. And the root of it is this idea that I'm supposed to make up how I need things to be and how I don't want them to be, and then I'm supposed to get upset when they're not that way. Well, you're going to be upset all the time. And so you come down to understanding this as your choice in life. Do I want to continue doing this and then go outside and struggle with everybody and everything to try to make them match what I made up? Or do I want to learn to stop this stupid game of making up how I want things to be? Doesn't mean you stop your career. Doesn't mean you stop being married. Doesn't mean you stop having children. Doesn't mean you stop doing your best or whatever you're doing. That has nothing to do with that. I didn't say anything about that. I said you stop making up how things need to be and then fighting with everything and everybody to try and make them be that way. You still go to school, you still study, you still have you still get married, all kinds of things still happen. Your mind sits there and says, but why would they happen if I don't want them to? The sun comes up without you wanting it to. The moon goes through all of its phases. The oceans do what they do. You have 14 trillion cells in your body that do all kinds of things without you wanting them to or not wanting them to. The whole universe, look at all the stars and the galaxies. Are you wanting them to be what they are and do what they're doing? And the answer is, you're not doing any of it. So the fact that you stopped making up how you want it to be and how you don't want it to be is not going to affect anything except how much you suffer. The fact that you stopped making up how you want it to be and how you don't want it to be, and then fighting with the way it is not going to change anything, except you will stop suffering. You will enjoy the unfolding of life. You're still doing the same thing. You're just doing it for a different reason. When it's said and done, I want to tell you the truth. Life is going to win anyways. If you don't want it to rain tomorrow, that has nothing to do with whether it's going to rain. If you don't want her talking or dancing so close to somebody else, believe me, I know people very well. It has nothing to do with what she's going to do. It's like you're just causing yourself to suffer over the unfolding of reality. We're not saying that you don't have any influence. We'll talk about that. But come on, it's pretty small. When it's all said and done, reality is going to unfold in front of you. It has been going on for 13.8 billion years. And it's going on everywhere where you're not. When I say that to Mickey, let's go. Does that have that effect on you? Isn't it going on everywhere where you're not right now? Okay, man, you're not in charge. And so you just catch on that things are going to unfold and you have a choice. Am I going to suffer because they're unfolding, or am I going to enjoy the journey? It's as simple as that. Again, it doesn't mean you're not doing anything. You're just doing it with joy. You're doing it out of love. You're doing it because it's fun. You're doing it because it's exciting. You're not doing it out of fear. You're not doing it out of I'm afraid that if something happens, I'll be dead, so now I better go do something about it. What kind of motivation is fear? You're not doing it out of need. I'm all screwed up inside and I need her to like me and I need this to happen. I need him to respect me. Otherwise, I'm going to really be bad. So that's what I want. So you're not doing it out of desire and you're not doing it out of fear. You're doing it out of, boy, this is fun. Okay, this is exciting. This is inspiring. This is love. That's what's going on. And so you interact with the reality of creation as it unfolds around you, because what else are you going to do? It's the reality that's unfolding around you. You just sit there and honor and respect the realities of life. And then you dance with life with fun, with a sense of joy. But you can't do that if you are busy creating this veil inside your mind called what I want and what I don't want. And then you're out there getting all upset because the reality of the world is not the way you want. Have you noticed it's almost never the way you want? Not exactly the way you want. There's always something wrong. Even if you get what you want, it's never exactly the way you want it. The color was a little bit off. It's a little bit bigger than I wanted, but I guess I'll be okay with it. And so here's your foundation. So the question is, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Do you want to continue making up what you want and what you don't want and trying to superimpose that upon a world and then fighting and suffering and having commotion? Or do you want to learn to come into harmony, into balance with the unfoldment of reality that is being brought to you because you didn't build this like and dislike? How about this? Just in case it seems to you impossible to not have like and dislike, I'll let you have a like. I like everything. That will not cause any problems. I like life. Life is good. I like life. I like the challenge of life. I like it. And I will open myself and dance with and appreciate any circumstances that come my way. And if they're challenging, I love the challenge. If they are easy, I say thank you. It's as simple as that. All right? You can do this. You have the right to do this. Nobody can take it away from you. And you will find that you don't suffer anymore. Can you see that? That would stop this psychological suffering. And so we started this by saying if you care about somebody, you don't want them to suffer. So I don't want you to suffer. Would you want your child to suffer? You want people to suffer? And look how easy it is to not suffer. Stop doing what you're doing in there. And so the question becomes how. So I thought we'd spend a moment taking one very strong cause of suffering and talking about how to transcend it. That's what we call it, transcending it. How to go past it. How to stop letting it run your life. Okay? And that is this thing called security and insecurity, which all of you should be able to relate to. Like I started by saying, you're in there, but you're not okay in there. Well, if I'm not okay in here, it creates a certain sense of fear, a certain sense of non-well-being, a certain sense of insecurity. That's, you know what I mean by insecurity, don't you? There's like weakness. There's a sense of non-well-being. So if I am insecure and I have a sense of non-well-being, I don't like that. I don't want to experience that. I don't have to make up what I like or dislike. That one's very natural. It's just an experience of non-well-being. So there's two ways to deal with that. The normal way is to say, I need to find ways to feel more secure. Do you understand that? I need to find ways to feel more secure. Well, how will you do that? I'll wear really nice clothes so that when people look at me, I see that they're looking at me with respect. That makes me feel secure. I'll drive a Ferrari and pull up everywheres in a really nice car or something like that. Why? That makes me feel secure. I don't, people look at me with envy, people look at me as important, and so on. And do you understand how people look at you has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. People look at people all kinds of ways based on their religion, their clothes, their this and that. You come to one place all dressed up in a fancy suit and fine tie and $1,000 thing, right? They'll run you out. You don't fit. They're not interested, right? Show up somewhere else another way. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. It has nothing to do with you. Another person's respect for you has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. Pull up on a Hummer to a Greenpeace party, and you get nothing but very dirty looks. They don't have respect for you. See, it had nothing to do with you. Pull up in the finest, neatest four-wheel Hummer all jazzed up in the Hummer Club, and everybody's looking at you like, whoa, man, wow, I wish I had that. They're not respecting you. It's a reflection of them. To go do real well at something, play a guitar and get a gig and be invited to play at a coffee house that you're really respected, and go tell your folks who paid for your education and didn't know you dropped out 3 years ago to play the guitar, right? You will not get that sense of respect. It will not be that way. Does that mean you don't deserve the sense of respect? Does that mean there's anything wrong with playing the guitar? Does that mean anything like this? No, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. If the truth of the matter is, your father, who's now a banker, always wanted to be into music. That's what he suppressed in his life. And he saw his son or daughter step out of the rat race and dare to express themselves and do something he never had the guts to do. The eyes are going to light up. It has nothing to do with you. Okay? And so you catch on that what is going on is you have two ways you can deal with this sense of non-well-being. You can go out there and try to pull things that your mind makes up that will make you feel more secure and try to make them happen. They do not work. They have never worked for anybody. The moment you get what you think you want to make you feel secure, if you get it, you'll be afraid of losing it. Go play a gig or give a talk or do something that everyone's so impressed. Oh my God, you were so nervous, but they say you did really well. When they invite you back tomorrow, wait till you see how scared you are that you won't do as well. There's no win in the game. There is no win in the game that I am not okay, I feel not secure, discomfort inside, so I need to get things outside a certain way in order for me to feel better. That's not how you do it. Is there a way to do it? Yes, but not that way. So all this stuff that people are running around trying to impress each other, trying to get power, trying to do all this stuff, it is not a sign of strength. It is a sign of weakness. If you need people to think about you a certain way, there's something wrong with you. If you need a person to love you, there's something wrong with you. I'm going to use shock therapy. What does it mean if I need people to respect me or treat me a certain way? It means I'm not okay inside. I don't feel whole and complete within myself. I have issues. And when they clap, I feel much better. When they boo, I don't. What does that mean? It means I'm not okay. And I need remember I talked about need to start with. I need things to be a certain way in order for me to be okay. That isn't, if you're healthy, you don't need a doctor. If you're not healthy, you need lots of them, and you better pick the best ones. If you don't feel right inside, you need people to treat you a certain way. You need people to talk to you a certain way. If a person says one thing, you get defensive. Anybody noticed? Like they can't say a single thing. Oh, I don't think what you said made any sense. You don't understand what I meant. It's like you can't handle anything. Why? The reason I said what I said was to try to impress you. Why? Because I'm not okay inside. The fact that you have a single critical remark of any way, shape, or form of what I said means, oh my God, you might as well take a knife and stick it in me. What's wrong with you? I wasn't okay, and I trusted that if I said this thing, you'd make me be okay. And now you sat there and say, yeah, it was all right, but you forgot this. I did not. No, where do you see the defensiveness that comes up inside of you? I want to ask you a question. Have I exaggerated? One iota? Isn't that amazing? Maybe we better talk about this. All right. So you catch on that this game of I'm not okay, and I've made up how I need things to be down to the tiniest detail, and what it's really about is how I need everybody else to be. That's what I think is funny. I made up how I need everybody else to be, including the weather, you hear me? In order for me to be okay. All right. I hope I've lectured enough on that. So the question is, what's the alternative? So let's deal with insecurity. That's a tough one. It's a very big one. What's the alternative? The alternative is to fix what's wrong inside of you. Not to go out there and try to find Band-Aids to put over it so that you can temporarily feel better. Fix what's wrong inside of you. Does that make sense? Okay? Fix what's wrong inside of you. And then you won't have this problem. So what would it be like if I didn't feel insecure? Could I actually feel secure inside? Wouldn't that be nice? That it's not like you're an egotist. You know, you're not one of those people, I'm perfect. I can take care of anything. I'm not worried about anything. That's not feeling secure inside. That's feeling insecure and then putting something very strong in front of yourself. I don't ever apologize. I don't ever give in to anybody. I always win. I don't worry about it. I got great lawyers all around me. That's not security. That's strength you put out there to project is hiding insecurity. I'm talking about getting rid of insecurity. Don't even know, I want you to not even know what's he talking about? Well, I would like it if you looked at me that way. I don't know what he's talking about. I feel fine inside. I never care what people think about me or anything. How would you get there? You come inside and you find a place inside yourself, which I'm assuring you is there, that is just beautiful. It's just radiant. It's filled with love and joy, and you just feel waves of well-being going on inside of you. If I leave you alone, it's the happiest time I ever did with you. You just sit there and all this joy comes up inside of you. There was once a story of Yogananda. Back in the early days, he wore turbans, and it was an Indian guy, right? And he was riding on a train in America, and he tells a story that he was just sitting there as a long train ride, and he was there, and the conductor walked up to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, could you tell me what you're doing?" And the master said, "I'm not doing anything." And he said, "God, I wish I could do that." He was just sitting there being okay. He was just sitting there being okay for an hour, sitting in the train with his hands folded, being at peace, being okay, feeling wonderful. That's like foreign to us. You have to do something to feel okay. In other words, I have to do something to get away from the part of me that doesn't feel okay. I'm not okay in here. So I need to be doing something that will make me eating something, doing something, talking something, doing something, because I'm not okay in here. I'm talking about being okay in there. That's the alternative way of life, is to spend your willful energy trying to fix what's wrong inside so that I can be okay. So we're talking about security and insecurity. You do not need people to like you. There's nothing, you don't have to do things to make them not like you. It's okay, it's fun. People are fun. But you don't need them to like you if you're okay. Here, I just fell in love with you. We're madly in love. It's the honeymoon stage. Everything like that. Oh my God, my heart's pouring open, all that kind of stuff. I don't care whether she likes me or not. Not when I've just fell in love with you. What do I care? Somebody walks up to me and says, you know, I'm not interested in going out with you. Fine. Good. I'm glad. Hope you have a nice life. You got that? Because I'm okay inside. When you're okay inside, you don't have a way you need people to treat you. You don't have a way you need for them to give you this stuff. That is such an important way to be. What would it be like to go through life and not need like that? It's so beautiful. When you meet somebody, you don't need anything from them. You don't need to worry about what you said. You don't need to impress them. You don't need to know whether they liked what you were wearing. You don't need to worry about what their thoughts are when they walk. How would you like that? It's called liberation. How would you like to be free? But what then would be my interaction with the person? You would get to meet another person. You wouldn't be trying to impress them. To try to impress somebody means you're not okay. And you're going to hand the state of your being to another person. because they're either going to be impressed or not be impressed. And you don't even know the person. I just think it's so funny. You don't hand your car to them. You don't give them your house. But you give them your whole state of inner being. And they can say something or look at you a certain way that ruins your day. You gave away the keys to your kingdom. And so you wake up eventually to say, I have this work to do on myself. I don't want to live my life the other way. I don't want to give the keys to my inner kingdom that belong to me to total strangers every minute or every second, and they get all weird inside because they're not reacting the way I expect them to or the way I want them to. If you are out there trying to impress people, there is something wrong with you. And you know darn well that's all you're doing is trying to impress people. Everyone you meet. You need to impress everybody. If you're in a room and you impress 99 of the 100 people and one person criticizes you, that's all you remember, that's all you care about. You walk away feeling terrible. Why? Why would that be? Why would it be that everybody's clapping and somebody's booing and I'm just keep looking at the guy who's booing? Why? Because the whole reason you're doing this, I want to impress you, is because you're not okay. And so if something is happening that is reinforcing your not okayness, like somebody not liking you, somebody talking badly about you, it hurts. It causes problems. Now you get to the point where you say, I'm going to work with this. How do you work with this? You work with it. You work with it. You work with it every single moment of every single second of your life. Exactly like right now, every single moment, every single second, you're trying to impress everybody. And you're trying to get your needs taken care of. You're trying to do it exactly the same. You're just doing something different. You're sitting here saying, when I walk into the presence of this person, I'm going to watch very carefully to see where I'm coming from. And if I'm coming from, I need to impress her, I'm going to work with myself. I am more interested in letting go of the part of me that thinks I need to impress her in order to be okay than I am with whether she's impressed. That's the bottom line. That's where East meets West. If what I'm more interested in is whether I impress her, I lose. If while I'm having this conversation, I'm watching myself, and I am more interested in letting go of the part of me that thinks in order for me to be okay, she has to be impressed. It's like, what about if I traded it off for a heroin addict? Same conversation. So here I am interacting. The question is exactly this. Are you more interested in figuring out how you're going to get your next hit, or you're more interested in figuring out how you're not going to give in to needing that hit? Because that's what's going to change your life. It's like you're in there. Which are you doing? So this is exactly the same. This is an addiction. Your state of non-well-being is the same as an addiction. I'm not okay, and I'm addicted to that. And so everything I do is based on that. You can break free from that. I swear you can. How do you do that? By not giving into it. How do I get off of a drug? By not giving into it. By remaining centered within and not giving into the urge or impulse to commit my life to this drug. By not giving in to this urge or impulse that I am not going to be okay unless I impress everybody. I am not going to be okay unless I get the job I want. I am not going to be okay unless I find my soulmate. I am not going to be okay unless I'm driving a car that I feel comfortable in. What I've just done is to find all these limits inside myself that are basically saying I'm not going to be okay. Because you're not going to get it that way. So that's an addiction. It's an addiction to having things the way you want. So you reach a point where you finally say, if I have but one life to live, I am not going to live like that. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. The moment you decide to change your life, it is going to change. Because this is only up to you. It has nothing to do with anybody else. You're totally empowered. How you deal with yourself inwardly is your business. That's yours. There's nobody else in there. So you can change it completely anytime you want. So we were talking about how to do it. You do it every day, every moment you practice. It's like learning to play tennis, like learning to play the piano. It's like learning anything. You learn how to not let that part of your being run your life. How? By not letting it run your life. How do you stop smoking? Stop putting cigarettes in your mouth. But what if I want to? Don't. Then you'll stop smoking. It's the same thing here. I feel the need to impress somebody. I'm concerned about whether they like me or not. Okay, this is a growth moment. If you're concerned about whether somebody likes you or not, quiet down, Don't say something. Please don't say something to try to impress them so they like you. That's like trying to get the drugs. Instead, sit there, look at the part of your being that's getting neurotic, getting scared that they might not like you, and realize, I want to get past that. What matters is whether I like me. I'm the only one who knows me anyways. And I don't like me who's all needy and needing people to like me. So I am going to relax. When it's said and done, I've talked to this many times. I've been doing this for a very long time. I have learned that the highest way to deal with yourself is to relax in the face of yourself. So if it's sitting there telling me what to say and what to do to get somebody to like me, to impress somebody, I take one look at it and say, I don't care whether the answer is right or wrong about what to do. I don't want to play that game. I don't play that game. I don't want to do drugs anymore. It's telling me how to get my next hit and how I can make the money. I don't care. I don't want to do that anymore. So I don't want to do this anymore. So just relax. Just inside, from a deep center, just relax. And you will see it will pass. It will hurt. It's like stopping smoking hurts, right? But it will start to pass. And the next thing you know, you're going to be so amazed. People are more impressed with you because you didn't say anything. Somehow, if you're saying something to impress somebody, it's like challenging that part of them. They're just going to say something back to try and impress you. Or they're not going to let you impress them. They're going to say what's wrong. Like you're playing this game. You're both in there playing this game. Who can get the respect of the other person more so that they walk away feeling I won? There's this feeling that I got what I wanted. But the only way you're getting what you wanted is if you win. If you impress the other person. A lot of people are not going to let you. And, you don't want to be like that. So instead, like I said, you start letting go. How do I find the place inside of me that's okay? By not going with the place inside of you that's not okay. I swear you will never hear anything deeper in your life. If you're not okay, you can't find the place that is okay. If you're smoking, you can't find the non-smoker. You have to stop doing the thing that keeps you away from being okay. So I can't find okay if I'm hanging out with not okay. So when the not okay comes up, I need to impress him, I need to say something, I need to worry about what I said, does he like me, blah, 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 blah. If I hang out with that, I'm not okay, because I'm hanging out with Mr. or Miss not okay. There's parts of your being. If I'm going to New York, I can't be in California. If you're hanging out with not okay, you will not find okay. So your first step is to stop hanging out with not okay. And therefore, when it starts telling you different things to do, and this, that, and all that kind of junk, you will just let go. You let the moment go by. I could literally put on a calendar and put a star the first time I ever made Mickey do that. He's in a conversation. He's trying to impress everybody. And his mind comes up with this impressive thing to say, and I didn't let him say it. Oh my God, it's like, that you're born that day. Like it's the first time you decided to stop smoking, you were fine because the people didn't want you to smoke and you're done. Now all of a sudden you ate dinner and it's when you used to really like a smoke. So here's that moment. You better let it go or you're going to keep smoking. And so you learn to let go. And I'm telling you, the shocking part is when it's all said and done, what ends up being left is more impressive than anything you could have done. And it's free. When you stop needing people to love you, it is amazing how many people love you. Why? Because you're not grabbing. You're not taking. So this is what happens when you wake up. You catch on. I used insecurity as an example, but you could do it with anything. You have to decide which life you want to live. Do I want to live the life of I'm not okay, so I made up how everything and everyone needs to be okay, and now I'm out there fighting and struggling with every moment of life, every second for my whole life to try and make it be that way, and I'm not doing so well. Or do you want to realize there's a world unfolding? It is going to unfold just fine without you. It always has. If it is going on everywhere in the universe without you, it can probably go on in front of you. Since there's no difference. And you realize you've just made this mess inside yourself, this whole mess about how everything needs to be and how I need to be and what I should have done before and what I... And instead of buying into that, you pay attention to what's going on inside of you. You don't buy into the part of you who's trying to be okay by doing all this stuff with everybody else, by trying to get people to like you, by trying to this and that and the other thing. Doesn't mean you're a hermit. Doesn't mean you're antisocial. You can be around people. You can be hanging out with everybody you're hanging out with. You're just not doing the same thing you were doing. You're not trying to impress them. You're trying to let go of the part of you that would have you try to impress them. That's a very different relationship. Every second of your life you'll become a greater person because you're letting go of the part of you who's weak. This is spiritual growth. It's real, isn't it? It's shocking how real it is. In fact, it's embarrassing. It's called working on yourself. It's like getting to the root of the problem and letting go. And what is going to happen if you let go of the part that's not okay, little by little, you will start to realize that you are okay because you're not hanging out with the part that's not. It's so funny. That's the best I can tell you. All right. Work on these things. Jai Gurudev.